Welcome to this episode of Starting a Business Simplified. This is kind of an impromptu episode that came to me as I was working. I know I've talked about intuition in the past, and this is one of those times where I just intuitively thought people need to hear about this, especially those that are thinking about starting a business or who are right in the middle of getting their business going. So, one of the big things that's important when you're an entrepreneur is to connect with people, share your message, network, have a support system, refer. So, refer people that you know to other people, and then also ask for referrals. And all of these things have one thing in common, and that is communication. So, communicating to keep in touch, that's something that needs to be tracked, because what will happen is you'll start to reach out and you'll start talking to a whole bunch of people, which is what you want to do. And some people are going to be able to talk to you right away and make decisions and have a conversation. And other people are actually going to need you to check back with them. They do want to talk to you. They're not saying no, but they're busy and they really can't jump right in and talk to you right at that moment. This is where having a good way to track who you're talking to, what conversations you've had, and when you should follow up with them is incredibly important. The reason I bring this up is I started connecting with a lot of people this year, and I have podcast guests. You've seen my podcast guests that I'm communicating with, recording times, follow up, making sure that if they need something, I'm able to provide it. So all these different things, I have all these different things happening at different times for different people. Some people have to reschedule. Some people aren't available when I'm available. So we have to figure out when. There's always stuff that I have to follow up on. So what I do is I have a CRM. Now you're going to hear a podcast episode where I specifically talk to a person who specializes in CRMs and email marketing and what the difference is between the two. She's going to go into great detail around it. But what I want to highlight is coming up with a system that you can follow without worrying about having a program or an online tool or an app or something like that you have to keep up with. It's really something that you can do on a calendar if you want to have a written calendar, if you're somebody that likes to write. Or you can do it in your Google Calendar if you're using Google, or if you're using Outlook, or if you're using Microsoft, whatever you're using. If you're using an Apple product, whatever it may be. In your calendar, you can put reminders. So you can either write them out, say, okay, on this date, I need to remind myself to reach out to this person about this topic. For example, if I have a podcast guest and they're like, I can't record with you until November. Okay, I will check back with you in September or October to check in with you and make sure that November is still a good time for you. They're not saying no. They just need me to check back with them. And one thing that can get overwhelming is if you have a lot of people that you're talking to and you don't follow up. You're missing opportunities of working with people and getting to know them and them getting to know you. And that could also lead to missing opportunities for referrals, for them to recommend clients to you, and for that connection to really happen. We're all incredibly busy and the world is going faster and faster and faster. So we need to keep up. As entrepreneurs, we need to keep up with those people that we have important connections with. And it's not bad if you haven't heard from somebody in a while, or if you haven't talked to somebody in a while, because we're all busy and we're all entrepreneurs. So it makes it even harder because we're all doing everything all the time. So we're always busy. It's okay to have reminders. Remind yourself and reach out to that person and say, hey, I was thinking about you and I wanted to follow up. The other important thing is to track and follow up with previous clients. So current clients, you're working with them. So you're talking to them all the time. Potential clients, you're talking to them too, because you want them to become clients. A lot of times, the previous clients you've had, they can be forgotten. So it's important to have a follow-up system that you say, okay, when a client finishes with me, and if they're not working with me continuously and then they move on, I'm going to check in with them every 6 weeks or every quarter, every 3 months, or at this particular time of the year, every time. And these are the kinds of things that I'm going to check on them about. So you make notes about who the person is and what it is that you want to say to them. This allows you to stay in contact with previous clients. Then they know you're thinking about them. And I'm going to say it again, it is not a bad thing to do a reminder. There is so much information floating out there. Having reminders is a key thing. It reminds you, it pops up, you do what you need to do, and it's all good. It's okay. There's nothing wrong with you if you can't remember everything that you need to remember. There's way too much out there. So don't be hard on yourself. I know I was hard on myself. I did a podcast episode with Lori McBride, who talks to Generation X, and we had a conversation around this, that coming from Generation X, we think we have to remember everything because we could. Back in the 80s and 90s, you could remember stuff. When the internet exploded and information went crazy, no longer can you remember everything because there's just too much out there. So give yourself a break. It's okay to have reminders and to give yourself notes. And it's actually key and important to do that. A lot of times I go back and I have a CRM, a client management system, that I actually use. So I can go in and put reminders in, and then I get a notification that says, hey, you should email this person, or you need to talk to this person, or here's a note about this person. And it helps me stay on track so I don't forget anything. If you have any questions around this topic, feel free to reach out to me anytime. I'm happy to talk to you about it and come up with what system works for you. The only good system out there is the one you're going to use. So find something that works for you and stick to it. Be consistent. And I hope this was helpful. As always, keep it simple.